Do you want to level up your slice, flat, or kick serve? Well, stay tuned. I'm going to share with you my favorite, absolute favorite drills for working on those three serves so you can master them. Hi, it's Chris Lewitt, top American junior coach and coach to many #1 juniors in the U.S. I want to share with you some of my favorite drills that I work on with some of the best players in the country, drills I've used to develop top national ranked kids, top sectional ranked kids, and kids who go on to play ITF. And I think you'll enjoy it. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to dive right into it. My 3 favorite drills for the slice, flat, and kick. Okay, we're going to start off with a bang right away with the slice serve. And I have another video on the slice that I did recently. I will link that for you guys because the slice serve, I think, is, generally speaking, an easier serve for people to learn because it's more natural. Most people have a more natural slice. Usually the flat serve, the power serve, and the slice are the ones that players learn and master earlier. And then the kick serve is that holy grail that most players some players never master. And I've had many serious competitive adults come to take lessons with me, and it's on their bucket list, like they want to learn amazing kick serve. But the slice is pretty doable for, I think, everyone. I'm not sure everyone can learn a world-class kick serve. It requires a lot of mobility and flexibility. We can talk about that, and a lot of acceleration. But the slice, pretty much, if you look, even super seniors, if you look at juniors who are starting out, girls, boys, pretty much everyone can develop a really good slice. And so check out that other video that I made because I go into a lot of details about the grip and some other important technical aspects. I just want to share with you like a basic drill that I use all the time, and I'll show you a couple variations. But essentially, you want to start in the doubles alley. I would recommend you start far in the doubles alley. That's where we are here. And you want to get your toss in the alley. So you position your feet in the main part of the court, in the singles, and when you toss, you want to toss into the alley. So that's going to get your toss in a good relationship with your body. The toss should also be out in front. That's very important. In that other video that I referenced, I mentioned how getting the toss in a good relationship with the body is, for me, like the most critical thing on a slice serve. Pretty much any serve, but particularly the slice serve. Most people don't have the toss in the right relationship with their body, and that's where like they're trying everything. They're trying to grip, they're trying to use the wrist and cut the ball, and they're just not getting a good slice because something is off in terms of the relationship between the body and the ball. The ball has to be well in front. So what I recommend is you start up close near the service line, and so you can break down the court into half or into 3/4 here, and then you can slowly kind of work your way back. But you just start out, you try to get a good toss, and you work on cutting across the side of the ball. You want to cut on a slice, you cut across the side of the ball, and you try to accelerate your arm, the entire chain from your shoulder, elbow to your wrist joint. You try to accelerate through there to get a good brushing across the ball, and you want to keep your body really sideways. Like that's one of the hardest things for most people. They open up, like they go to hit a slice, and they hit a slice kind of like that. You can hit a slice like that, but I don't think it's the most optimal way. You will get sliced. A lot of times you'll miss it wide. If you see how I open here, actually that one is pretty good. But in general, I would not be careful. Don't open too much. I would really try, and this is something that Mark Kovacs talks about a lot, and he stresses based on the research that the best servers in the world stay side on as long as possible. So I would really stress that. Try to stay side on as long as possible. And I really believe on a slice, you stay more side on than a kick. More side on than a power serve or flat. And on the kick, you stay even more side on than a slice as you're coming up to the ball. So as you're swinging up to the ball, you stay more side on a kick, a little less side on a slice, and you open up a little more on the flat. But that being said, remember the research supports staying side on as long as you can. So you go through your acceleration phase here, and you're still sideways, still sideways, still sideways, still sideways. And most people are jacking their bodies open, and they're hitting serves like this, and it's just a disaster. So that's like a very common situation. So what you can do is you can do the full motion here. You work on your toss in the alley, body in the singles. Toss in the alley, body in the singles. That had a nice sound to it. I put a cone here. I hope you can see that. construction cone, and that's a really good target. Like, use targets and try to curve the ball around the target. I remember back in the day, I set up this, I had like this plumber piping. It was like 12 feet long, and I used to stick it up in the net, tie it to the net, and I would work on curving the ball around the plumber's piping, like this big PVC piping. That was a pretty cool drill. We'd have to actually bend it like a corner kick around a pole. I'll have to show that to you guys. But this is good too. Just, you don't actually have a target that you aim for. You actually aim to the left of that. I hope you can see that. That had a nice slice on it. And you work on staying sideways here. And you use your wrist to aim the ball, to cut and aim the ball. You adjust with your wrist to aim the ball more cross rather than adjusting with your trunk. Try not to go wide with your trunk. See, most people will say, oh man, I got to get it wide, and they'll open their trunk. Try to keep your trunk side on, side on, side on, and use your wrist, the adjustment in your wrist to get the right angle in the racket face to curve it, and then you're going to have to accelerate a lot. You have to be very whippy, and that's another thing I talked about in another video I did recently that was people like. What I like to say is you got to get the right grip, which is a strong continental grip or slightly eastern backhand grip, and then you got to get the whip. You know, so here, stay sideways, toss to the doubles alley, and see if I can cut it good without opening up too much. That was pretty good. It had a nice sound. Show you again. Oh, bad toss. That's a common mistake. The toss coming in here. And if I toss there, I can still maybe slice it, but I'm not going to get my best action. That was a really nice hook on that one. You want to get that can opener serve. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, and sometimes that hooking serve used to be called the can opener. You don't hear that as much anymore. It's a great name for it. The ball just hooks like that. You can hook up that serve and swing it super wide, and just draw, you know, you get almost a checkmate every time you're serving on the deuce side. So you can try with full motion. As I said, you can also, if you're having trouble with that, you can go with a half motion, or you can start from a salute position. Sometimes it's called salute, or you can start from kind of like a cobra here. Some players like that. Some coaches prefer that. I think the research is still kind of out. I'm not 100% convinced that starting here will give you more racket speed. But I think there's some interesting research coming out on that. We'll talk about that in another video. But you can start here, or you can start here, or you can start here. I wouldn't really start down here too much. I think that's not necessary on this serve. You can pretty much learn it from here. If you're really having trouble getting down here with a good racket drop, you could start a little lower. But basically, if you're having trouble with the full motion, break it down. Go into a half motion. You can start here and work the same idea. Here, toss. Don't go here right away. Wait, 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 and accelerate. Here, toss. Ooh, that was a really nice one. And then, you know, as you get more comfortable, you can start adding your legs. You know, you can start going from more power. You know, this is not my full power. And, you know, you can kind of go from there. But that one felt really good. I felt like I stayed very sideways. One thing you'll see when you stay very sideways, you'll see like this power tuck. You'll see this left. This is part of all good serving mechanics. Another thing that Mark Kovacs talks about a lot is you'll see the left arm tuck in. So as I'm accelerating, I don't know if you noticed, but my left arm will tuck in. Sometimes you can see the left hand on this side of the body from that position of the camera. So you see a lot of players accelerate, they stay side on, and you'll see the hand here as they're accelerating. You'll see the hand. What you don't want is this kind of deal. You don't want to open up too early. You won't get as good a slice. All right, guys, just giving you a few alternate views of that slice drill. Remember, you're going to be in the single side, near the single sideline here, and you're going to work your toss in the doubles alley. Then you're going to cut it without opening up. You do not want to open up your body. And you try to hook it. That was a good one. That one really spun out. Okay, that one I missed the cone. I missed the left side of the cone. I'm trying to find safe passage on the left side of the cone and spin it out wide. The cone is not a target. The cone is a guideline. Had a lot of spin. Good. That's a nasty slice there. I hope you can see that good. So here we are on the other side of the court working on the kick. And the kick, we've done some good videos on the kick. It's one of my favorite serves to teach. I think I've taught hundreds of world-class kick serves to lots of juniors and some very motivated adults, but it's hard for the adults. I had some adults who come here and it's their bucket list, man. They kill for a good kick serve. They just never were able to figure it out. And I have a lot of sympathy for that, a lot of empathy, because when I was a kid, I struggled with that kick serve. I had a really good slice, and as I got older, I happened to have an amazing coach, Gilad Bloom, who was a former ATP pro from Israel, Davis Cupper for Israel, and he taught me how to hit a really good kick. But I don't think if I had met Gilad, I wouldn't have a good kick, man. I just couldn't figure it out. So I commiserate with a lot of people who struggle with that, and I take a great pride and pleasure in teaching a world-class kick serve to anyone who comes through the door. So one of the things you want to do is start near the doubles alley again. So here you can do a kind of a similar setup. If you're just learning, you can get up close to the service line, or you can come back a little bit. And you're trying to, when you're working on a kick serve, I really recommend, and I've mentioned this in other videos on the channel, is always use a high string. Always use this rope. Don't work on your kick serve without a high rope, because it just accelerates the learning curve. It's going to give you that instant feedback, visual feedback. You're going to know if you got shape on it or not. You're going to see clearly how much height you're getting, and it just speeds up the learning process. So I highly recommend using 2 sticks and a rope. This is called the Air Zone. It's a great product. And what you're going to do is going to stand in this corner now, and you can also work on putting the toss close to the doubles alley. You don't want to go too far back there, because you don't want to put stress on your lumbar area of your lower back, your lumbar spine. There's a risk of stress fracture there. So you want to be cautious with the toss, be conservative. You can go a little bit to the left. That was a good one there. I'm standing close or on the line, and I'm tossing. You definitely don't want to toss. Remember, the orientation of your body, the relationship that your body has with the ball is critical on all these serves we talked about on the slice. And you want to get that toss a little bit behind you, maybe a little more than that. It's a lot easier to learn to kick when the toss is behind your back like that. Just a good one there. Right in that area. If you can get the toss to that 11 o'clock area, it's just much easier to work on the left to right brushing action, the 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock brushing action. And you want to let your arm has to be whippy. It helps to have that grip, that Eastern backhand grip that I've talked about in past videos on the channel. You want to have the grip, you want to have the whip, and you got to get this racket way down and then way up in this space. Sometimes I will take this racket and force it with my players, stretch them out, stretch out the scaps, get that good scapular upward rotation and elevation, get that mobility. I help my students feel this mobility in the scapular area and feel the mobility in the glenohumeral joint, so the shoulder, basically the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint. You want as much range of motion, ROM, as you can back here. The more range you have back here, you're going to have a much better kick. So you want to be back in here. And this is also a very good drill. For some of you who struggle with this, look what I'm doing. I'm taking this racket, I'm pulling it down, and I'm basically stretching my shoulder out, stretching my scapula out, my right scapula, trying to get this range. And the more range I can get here, the more I can go up and get this beautiful upward brushing movement for max spin. And notice that my body is very sideways through this motion. Super side on. This is the most side on of any serve. You stay side on all the serves, something that Mark Kovacs stresses. But on this serve in particular, you want to be super, super sideways. So all this, you're kind of isolating what I tell my students is to isolate the shoulders here. Don't even think about opening. You're gonna open. Don't even think about that. Most people have a big time challenge trying to stay close here. Close, 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 close. Don't open the body. And then you want to work the ball with spin. You want to get that spinny sound. What I say, spinny sound, height. So you need flight time, height, and angle. And that's what you work on here. You try to get it over the string, spinny sound to the ear. You should be able to hear some spinny. You get it over to the corner there. You aim for the side wall. Those are the three variables when you're working on your kick. Height, spin sound, and direction. Show you a few. I'll do the full motion. No leg. Yeah, right in that area. And so you get the ball. By standing out here, you can really visualize the angle that you want, because a good kick serve, you rule the ad court. You dominate the ad court with this angle serve. You can pull people out wide at will, and it's like checkmate on the ad court. On the deuce court, that slice, that slider, that can opener helps you rule the court on that side. So you have these dual serves, and they help you on different sides of the court. The deuce side is ruled by the slice. The ad side is ruled by the kick as a righty, and it's vice versa for a lefty. See what I can do here. Okay, had good spin, but I didn't get the angle. Okay, that one was nice, and when it hit, I don't know if you can see that clearly. I can zoom in for you, but when it hit, it actually had a nice side spin rotation, so that's the holy grail, getting that twist serve. Sometimes it's called an American twist. You don't want your slice serve, you don't want your kick serve to slice. And I think we did a video about that in the last month or two, where that's a common problem. People are slicing their kick serve. You want that kick serve to twist. The ultimate is to twist it out from left to right. A good kick serve jumps up high. A great kick serve has a twist at the end, and it twists out to the right. Here we go. Not bad. I don't know if you can see my body here. Look how sideways I am. It helps not to use the legs in the beginning. When you're just working on the movement of the arm and the toss location, if you can do all this without moving your legs, and it'll help you stay sideways, and then you can reach back, get that mobility, range of motion through here, and brush. Look how my racket's tracing left, right, not left, this. This is what most people do. They open, they go to accelerate, and they open. It ruins the kick. You want to go from left, right, and look, you stay super sideways, like Stefan Edberg, one of the greatest kick serves of all time. Stay sideways, stay sideways, stay sideways. Get that whip, and you can finish. A lot of times you'll see the finish, like Jeff Salzenstein's Dirty Diaper here. You'll see finishes, you'll see sometimes the right leg will shoot out in midair because the body's super sideways as you hit the ball in a kick. It feels very unnatural. Kick serve's super unnatural. It's not like you never throw a ball like this. So it's just a weird feeling serve. It took me forever to learn. I was a teenager, and I wanted to quit tennis because I couldn't learn a great kick. I was so frustrated. Finally, Gilad Blum, the great Israeli player and coach, he helped me figure it out because he's a technical genius. Anyway, so that's how I learned it. But man, I don't think if I hadn't met Gilad, I don't think I would have ever figured it out. He showed me all the secrets of the kick serve way back when I was younger. So you can also do this from the half motion here. So you can toss and do half serves, kind of, or you can do like salute here, or you can do cobra, or you can do just a regular trophy position. Usually I start people in just the classic trophy position. Although there's a lot of debate right now whether if you start like this or if you start with the elbow pointing down, if that helps you get more acceleration through the cocking phase of the serve with the racket drop. I'm not sure. There's a big debate about that in biomechanics right now. It's kind of an interesting debate. But anyway, however you choose to start, you don't want to get stuck down in here. If you're learning, you could start. I've done this before with players who are struggling to get like this deep back scratch, like they're hooking it. They're maybe just here, or they don't have the range. I will sometimes start players down here, but not for too long. So if you do start down, if you want to work on this range of motion here in the shoulder and the scap, You can do that. You know, you can work on it like that, but don't do this for too long. Try to graduate to either the half motion or the full motion as soon as you can. But this is, I have had success with players who are struggling to get the spin sound. Like if you're really straight, you just can't get spin. That's when I would recommend trying this. You know, just go way down there, pull it down with your other arm. Look at this. Pull, pull, pull. Get that maximum external rotation of the glenohumeral joint, the shoulder joint. Pull, pull, pull. Get that stretch. And then you're going to toss and keep it down here and release up. Way down, way down, way down. And then get that nice, like, high, spinny, kicky thing going. And you can do the half motion too. That's another option. If you want to break it down into half motion, partial motion, you can start here. Make sure you have a good toss, good setup. Had a nice height on that one. Okay, that was a good kick, but I missed my target out wide. Try one more. See if I can get that corner. Oh, be careful with a toss like that. If you start to lean like that, puts a lot of pressure on your lower back, and you don't want to have a problem in your lower back, especially as you get older, especially with younger kids too. Okay, that one is pretty good. All right. Okay, let's talk about the flat serve, the power serve. We talked about the slice and the kick, and I think you should adopt kind of the same position as when you're working on the kick. That is, you want to shorten the chord a bit, so a graduated chord method, graduated positioning, and I would recommend just coming maybe in the mid chord here. You could start in the service line if you're just starting out. You take the string down. Usually I don't use the high string for the slice and the power serve because on those serves, sometimes you can use the high string and you go under it. You can aim under it, so you go over for the kick serve if you have the high string, and you go under for the slice and the flat. I'll just use flat and power serve interchangeably. I say flat serve, but there is high-speed video research that shows the pros usually have some rotation on their quote-unquote flat serve. So just so you know, don't drop me a mean comment and say you said flat. I call it the power serve a lot because sometimes sometimes the flat serve is not just a pure cannonball. Although that is a cool name that back in the day, kind of like with the can opener. You have like the can opener and the cannonball, and we should bring back that name for the flat serve, the power serve, the cannonball. So for the cannonball serve here, you're going to work on tossing the same as your slice. The flat serve, the power serve should have the same exact toss location as your slice. And the kick serve usually has its own distinct toss location. Although it is possible to merge the toss locations to some extent for disguise. You want to have maximum disguise between your slice and your flat serve. So that's kind of where it would be. Anywhere between 12 and 1, probably more 12:30 to 1. So if my head is here, I'm going to get that power serve going slightly to the right of my head, not sidearm, but to the right of my head, and then that way I can slice it out here. I can slice across it, or I can pronate more and get more of a flat serve. So the pronation is a movement, is an anatomical movement, or that takes place in the forearm. So it's called the radio-ulnar joint. You have the radius and the ulnar bone that form the forearm, and those two bones, there's muscles that connect them, and ligaments and other tissues, and when we say pronation, it's probably best to be specific. That's something that happens in the forearm. That's not something that happens in the wrist. The wrist doesn't pronate. The forearm pronates. But the entire arm structure can rotate, and that's typically called internal rotation. So when you make a movement like this is internal rotation. And when you combine internal rotation of the shoulder, of the glenohumeral joint, you combine that with pronation of the radio-ulnar joint, and then you get what Mark Kovacs calls long axis rotation. So this idea of long axis rotation I think is helpful because as you go to hit the power serve, you do want to focus on getting that good pronation. The pronation is going to help you square up the string. So you're coming up, you want to stay super side on. Remember, super side on. Don't open the shoulders early. Don't bail out and rotate early. That is like #1 common mistake, especially on a big power serve. I remember back in the day, I was taught to open up and hit the flat serve by opening my hip in my right pocket. I still remember that, open, hit the serve with my right pocket. I had a coach used to tell me that, well-meaning coach, I think that's probably not good advice. You probably want to keep that right pocket back here as long as you can. But I remember learning that when I was a kid. So we were talking about the impact point, and so as the racket's coming up, on edge. Racket's coming up on edge, and then if you see high-speed video, it's just remarkable. The pros look like they're going to hit it on this edge, so the wrist is side onto the ball. You're coming up on edge. It literally looks like you're going to hit the ball with this side. Well, you're going to hammer the ball with this edge of the racket, and at the last minute, you get this pronation and long axis rotation, internal shoulder rotation, and forearm pronation. So I think it's fine to think about that because you want to get those strings aligned. Look at the strings. You need the strings to be aiming out there to flatten it out. I'll kind of show you what that looks like. Try to stay side on. Gotta do better than that. I'll try to stay side on. And I'm looking to try to flatten my serve out and get that corner. Remember, use a cone, but you don't have to use cones as targets. It's not, especially when you're learning, there's no way you're going to hit a little cone. I got these big construction cones. I don't know where I got them, from a construction site or something, probably from New York City in the Bronx or Queens or something. And they're just fantastic. They don't move and they're big, and you can use them as guidelines or guideposts. See if I can get one a little more out wide. Try to get my toss right. Okay, not bad. So I'm coming up, I'm on edge, and I'm going to get my nice shoulder over shoulder rotation. I'm stay sideways as long as I can, and I got to get the strings aligned here. I'm not going to swing across the ball like when I'm hitting a slice, and I'm not going to swing with this extreme left to right. See this? This extreme left to right. This is a very different swing path for the kick. I'm going to come here and go a lot more through the ball. And that's what I tell my students, to hit through the back of the ball. You're probably not hitting down on the ball. I mean, you could think about that, hitting down on the ball. You're probably not using too much wrist flexion. There may be some wrist flexion. There's a huge debate in biomechanics, like how much the wrist is moving, how much of that movement is passive, how much flexion is actually there. We know there's a lot of flexion after the impact, but how much is happening before the impact? How much does the wrist movement contribute to power? These are a lot of mysteries that we debate in the biomechanics and technique world. Nevertheless, I like to say hit through the back of the ball. You want to get a nice impact slightly up in the racket, in the string bed, and you want to hit through the back of the ball, and you'll get a nice solid sound. It shouldn't have a spinny sound, and it should be your fastest serve. It should be your biggest miles per hour, your highest miles per hour. Okay, that was a really nice one. I hit my spot, I hit the corner. I did a good job staying sideways with my body. I didn't rotate too much. See, by doing all these exercises with my feet on the ground, it actually does help to prevent some of that rotation, and I also get to work my balance. If you notice, probably because I've been doing this exercise for years, I can do this and I can stay locked in here, and I'm pretty balanced. But when most people try this, you try it at home, try it with your students or with your kids, you'll see that players will be like, whoa, players will be falling all over the place. You want to get that nice balance as you're accelerating. You want to feel that you have good posture here. I would say by setting up here on an angle, it really helps you work on that that long axis rotation, helps you work on a little bit of that pronation because you just have the angle visualized in your mind's eye. You can see the geometry, so it's helpful in that way. If you get a good toss, you work on staying sideways, and then you try to focus on turning the strings outward. The strings will go out a little bit on most on high-speed serves, like when the pro serves, generally speaking, they have a really good pronation and long axis rotation. There are some examples of pros who do not, so I'm cautious to say you have to have it, but we know that the most elite servers, especially the men, after they hit a flat serve, for example, their strings, right after impact, their strings are looking like that. Their strings are complete, their thumb is down, like when you're throwing a football or a baseball. The thumb's down and the palm is facing outward, and then they come down and through. So that is the way the elite pros do it. I don't know what your level is. I don't know how much power you're generating in your shoulder. I don't know how much mobility you have throughout your shoulder, your scapulae, your wrist and forearm. I don't know what you're capable of, but yeah, it's something that you can work on, but I'm not sure it's an absolute model for like recreational players or even for a lot of juniors. I know that Mark Kovacs recommends working on that even with young juniors, but that's not something I usually focus on. I don't usually focus on pronation or internal rotation very much with young kids because they're not generating a lot of forces, and I feel like it's something that happens as their racket speed increases over time. So that's generally what I do with young kids. I think there's nothing wrong with like taking them in the gym, doing some band work, maybe working on the movements gently. You know, what I do have a problem with, and Mark Kovacs also warns against this, if you're a coach or if you see coaches doing this with your kids or with yourself, is when you do abrupt movements here and you stop and you force a lot of load onto the shoulder joint that way and the scaps, you know. So I would be cautious not to do drills like where you abruptly stop the natural follow through of the racket, because it is jarring to the musculature of the shoulder. So I would be cautious and probably wouldn't. That's not one that I like to do, and I don't recommend that one. So you can just work on hitting through the ball and getting a nice pronation, internal rotation. You can, something that Mark Kovacs recommends, and I think he's right. He's got a lot of great stuff. He gives a lot of great advice. Try to keep that elbow up. So you go to serve, and you want to keep the elbow higher than your hand. Go to serve, elbow up. And a lot of people will come down like this way. So as you're serving, you want to keep that elbow up, rotation, pronation, and then you follow through normally. All right, hope that helps. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this slice serve, kick serve, and power serve drill video. Hope it helped you. Hope you found some value. If you have a technical question, I do answer all the questions in the comments personally, so drop a comment. Let me know any advice I can give you. And even some people send me their videos via WhatsApp, and I just take a quick look and I send you back some feedback, and that may help you, you know, just to get some expert advice about your serve. So consider that. It's tough to be working on the serve on your own, or you may have a doubt or some struggles with your kids if you're a parent or a coach, and just let me know. I'm happy to help. One of the reasons we have this channel is because I'm interested in helping people learn tennis around the world, and I take a lot of enjoyment helping people from all over who can't come and take a lesson with me here in Manchester, Vermont. Okay, guys, have a good one. I'll see you on the next show. Guys, if you like this serve drill video, check out another serve video that I made right here. You're gonna like it.